It's Friday, January 12th, 2018. It's that time of the hour for your favorite NFL and college football program. Welcome to the Divisional Round edition of the Blitz Zone. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Rosen. I'm coming to you live from the studios of CTV in Staten Island, New York. And we have a lot of things to get into, but here's something for you here. 12 teams entered this gauntlet to win the coveted Vincent Lombardi Trophy. Now, after the wild card weekend that just took place, 8 teams remain. Which of these 4 teams will make it to Championship Sunday, and which of the other 4 teams will be left in the dust? We'll get into that and a whole lot more within the hour. So let's start with the news of the week. And believe me, there was plenty of news in terms of the coaching carousel. In the head coaching, in terms of head coaches, we just found out some huge news taking place in the city of Oakland, California. That's right. Jon Gruden, the former Oakland Raiders head coach back in 2002, before he was unceremoniously traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team he led to their Super Bowl 37 victory over his former team, the Oakland Raiders, in what I like to call the revenge is a dish best served cold Super Bowl victory, 38-21. Then eventually he was with the organization for a few years, was fired, but then went on a 9-year journey being with ESPN as the front man on Monday Night Football. Now he is going back to Raider Nation, to the Silver and Black, on a 10-year, $100 million lucrative contract, the largest for any head coach hiring in NFL history. This could be a game changer for the Oakland Raiders. And let's not forget, in 2 years' time, the Raiders will be moving to the city of Sin, Las Vegas, with their new arena in the process of being built. So they need something to sell to the fans in Vegas. And what better of a way to sell to those Las Vegans, or is that whatever they call themselves? That's, this guy would be the person to sell them on buying season tickets. He has such a great extensive knowledge. If you ever watch him on Monday Night Football, the way he analyzes the game and comes up with these trick plays, or terms that I never even thought of. And he's able to see the game from so many different avenues and directions. And the fact that he has a Super Bowl to his name, and if he could bring that to Oakland, that would be a huge caveat. Or actually, that would be the cherry on top of the proverbial sundae that Oakland would like to have served to them. In order to get that sundae served to them, Derek Carr has to get in line in this plan of Jon Gruden's. He's going to be the focal point. Jon Gruden is going to make him work really hard this year. And I think he'll get the job done in getting Derek Carr back to what he did in 2015. With the backing of Reggie McKenzie, the general manager of the Raiders, and Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, Jon Gruden is going to have all the confidence in the world backing him. And with a good coaching staff coming on board, Greg Olsen will be his offensive coordinator, and Paul Guenther is going to be his defensive coordinator. Greg Olsen was a former coordinator with the Carolina Panthers many years ago, and Paul Guenther formerly with the Cincinnati Bengals. So this is going to be a really fun organization to watch in the next few years, or especially next year. And I cannot wait to see what Jon Gruden does to him. All the best of luck in the world to you. Now, good luck to ESPN replacing him and those Gruden grinders that we're going to be missing. Need a little drink right here. Now, the next bit of news in terms of head coaches is the Chicago Bears, the monsters of the Midway, the team that won the year I was born, 1985, their last Super Bowl victory over 46-10 over the New England Patriots. Well, ever since that Super Bowl victory and that elusive defense that Buddy Ryan had, and of course Coach Mike Ditka with the sweater vest, always fun to watch him on the sidelines. And the most ferocious defense, including Mike Singletary. If you ever saw videotape on him, those stone-cold eyes being looked on you, You had to fear for your life if you were the quarterback because he was coming for you, and he was going to snack on you and sack you left and right. He was a better coordinator, honestly, than he ever was a head coach. But that's the past with Mike Singletary. As for the Chicago Bears themselves, they just hired their next head coach from Kansas City. That's right, their offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy, is going to be the new head coach for the Chicago Bears on a nice 5-year contract. He was introduced earlier this week. He's bringing his skill set. He was at first a quarterback's coach for 5 seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, 5 seasons with them altogether as a quarterback's coach. Then he became the offensive coordinator back in 2016. In the last 2 years, he led a defense, an offense that improved in yards gained from 27th to 20th from 2015 to 2016, respectively. And then in 2017, they went to 5th in the league in yards gained. That is what they need somebody who can improve this offense. They didn't even have a 1,000-yard receiver until week 14. That is pitiful and sad right there. And on top of all that, the only good thing about the team offensively is Jordan Howard, their running back. Mitchell Trubisky does bring some good skill sets to him. He needs to be tweaked and worked with. And Bill Nagy could be the guy. Look what he's done with Alex Smith this year in the Renaissance season he had, despite the unfortunate loss they had against the Titans in the wild card round. But for the most part, he had what amounted to what some people might consider an MVP season. So if you can do that with Alex Smith, you know what? I think he can work wonders with Mitchell Trubisky. I wish Matt Nagy all the best of luck with Chicago. They need him desperately. Now, in terms of his coaching staff, shook things up by hiring former Oregon Ducks head coach Mark Helfrich to be the offensive coordinator. One of the guys responsible for the fast-paced, up-tempo offense that Oregon many years was known for in the NFL, in college football. And the fact that in 4 seasons, the team averaged 42.6 points within 536.7 yards, but we have to keep in mind this was college football. Those numbers not going to happen in the professional ranks whatsoever. That would be what amounts to a miracle in NFL terms to see those type of numbers. But I think he'll definitely improve the makeshift of the offensive line for sure. He'll definitely help get receivers that can get them to work well with Trubisky. And with Ryan Pace at general manager, he's got to go out and get some receivers desperately. And if he's going to think of a receiver, what about bringing Alshon Jeffrey back to the fold? If they can afford him, that is. Or through the draft. Whatever way they have to do it. To avoid what has been embarrassingly been 4 consecutive double-digit seasons in which they've been the cellar in the NFC North. If Helfrich and Matt Nagy can do it, all the best of luck to him. Now, general managers, actually the rest of the head coaching jobs that are available out there. We're hearing the New York Giants right now could have their head coach, possibly. The leading candidate is Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, who right now will be in New England this weekend, getting his defense ready for the Tennessee Titans. But who knows? If he gets introduced as the Giants head coach, that's a slam dunk right there for the New York Giants team. Defense has been a huge issue this past year. We need to return to what they did in 2015. Or even 2014. And then you look at the offense, especially that offensive line needs to be reworked in the worst possible way, especially on the left side. That's where a lot of the problems have been with Eli. And they need another reliable receiver besides Odell and Evan Ingram. Brandon Marshall, please. He was good many years ago, but I think, honestly, just stick to doing inside the NFL. Or if you're going to go to a team, and I would not be shocked with this move, the Cleveland Browns. I really wouldn't be shocked if they brought him to be a receiver for that team. Hell, at this point they'll get anybody to see if they can help them. But here's the thing, Brandon, if you're going to go to that team, please be healthy. Otherwise, just retire. I know it kind of sounded a little nasty the way that came out, but the way you played this past year for the Giants was embarrassing at moments, and also the fact that they didn't also they didn't even give him any opportunities as well. But at the same time, he's a shell of what he was back in 2015 with the Jets. Anywho, Matt Patricia could be with the New York Giants. I'm hoping that works out. That would be a great pickup, bringing back that old Belichick-style defense they had when Bill Parcells was the head coach and Belichick was the defensive coordinator. And then you look at the Indianapolis Colts. Josh McDaniels could be the leading candidate for that job, or the Detroit Lions job, which also is available. And the Arizona Cardinals job is another one that's currently available for any person that will do the right thing in their interviews with the respective GMs of those 4 teams. Speaking of general managers, the New York Giants already hired before the season ended Dave Gettleman to be their general manager after they let Jerry Reese go after 10-plus years and 2 Super Bowl victories. Well, the Texans Rick Smith was not fired, but he left for personal medical reasons because of his wife, who was undergoing right now, who's going through breast cancer or a breast cancer diagnosis, and he wants to be there for his wife and help her in any way. And I give him a lot of credit, to at least, be there for your wife, because that's your wife, that's your family, that's your love right there. That's always above anything else in this world. Family, then job and career. So Rick Smith, it's sad that you had to go, but at the same time, you're there for the woman that you love, and to be there in a supportive, basis and anything that she needs. I hope that she recovers quickly and that everything is all right with her. And all of us at the Blitz wish her a speedy recovery and that she overcomes this battle. As for the general manager spot, since Rick Smith had to leave, they hired Brian Gaine of the Buffalo Bills, who was the director of pro player personnel. Now he's going to be the new general manager for this Texans team that for the first time after 2 years didn't win the AFC South Championship, and the unfortunate injuries of J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless Week 5 when they played Kansas City, and the unfortunate non-contact ACL tear to Deshaun Watson. All the best of luck to Brian Gaine in this new position. And another general manager who was just hired, Ted Thompson in Green Bay. Ted Thompson was the GM, but he was moved up the corporate ladder in the front office, which left the GM position open. And again, somebody was moved from within to be the general manager of the Packers, Brian Gutekunst. This is really great to see this guy, a De Pere, Wisconsin native who's been with the team in the front office, And I was just happy to see him get this job. After all, there was an opening for the Texans job that he was possibly in line for, and he was going to be interviewing for it. So the Packers decided to move quickly and make sure they locked in their general manager. And congratulations to him, and all the best of luck, considering what happened this year with Brett Hundley and Aaron Rodgers, with that broken collarbone. Hopefully things will get back to the way they should be. And the defense with Dom Capers gone, at least they got a new defensive coordinator and a whole new offense going for them. So all the best of luck to the Green Bay Packers. And the Browns hire former Packers executive Elliott Wolf, who's the son of legendary front office man for the Packers, Ron Wolf, and a Hall of Famer, by the way, Ron Wolf is. Yeah, the 35-year-old Elliott Wolf is going to be the new assistant GM to John Dorsey in Cleveland, the team that went 0-16, the second team to ever do it in NFL history, and have 2 top 5 draft picks, $114 million in cap space, a lot to play with to rebuild this franchise, a franchise whose fans just this past week celebrated their 0-16 season. I pose this question to you. Who celebrates 0-16 and throws a parade? Really, I would love to hear the answer to this one. Are you done trying to answer the question? Because nobody except Cleveland would celebrate mediocrity, embarrassment, and just all kinds of strife that they had this year. They're the only organization that would do that. But the fans, I think, went beyond anger and sadness. And now they're just at laughter. I think that's what this was, blowing off some steam and getting a laugh or two out of this, and really sending a message to John Dorsey in the front office that next year things better change, and especially to Hugh Jackson, who I'm shocked that that he is retained as the head coach after going a pitiful 1-31 in 2 years, a 34 winning percentage. Are you kidding me? And he still has a job? While the guy who preceded him, Mike Pettin, went 10-22, and yet he got fired. I'm just trying to understand Cleveland. And again, to try and understand Cleveland is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. For most people, it's difficult. For some, it's easy. So for those people that can solve what Cleveland's doing, please help me out because I'm failing to see the logic in that. Oh, and Mike Penn, by the way, who I just mentioned, was hired by the Green Bay Packers to be they're one of their new their new defensive coordinator along Joe Philbin, who boomeranged right back to Green Bay before he left before he left to go to the Miami Dolphins as their former head coach. He was the Green Bay Packers offense coordinator and helped them to a Super Bowl 45 victory with Aaron Rodgers over the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're looking to bring the luster back. And since Matt Nagy is now the head coach for the Chicago Bears, the Chiefs decided to move from within to fill their offensive coordinator position with Eric Bieniemy, the running backs coach. And look what he's done in the last 3 years. He's had 3 really positive running backs in Kareem Hunt, Spencer Ware, and Jarkandrick West, who led their team in rushing yards, breakout seasons in the last 3 years. And yet Kareem Hunt, the rookie third-round pick, led the NFL and won the rushing title in this rookie season. So you can do that kind of stuff with the running backs. Let's see what he can do with the rest of the offense. And who knows who will be the quarterback next year. Is Alex Smith going to return to Kansas City, or are we entering the Patrick Mahomes era? And the Los Angeles Chargers, the team that went 0-4 to start the year and then win 5 out of their next 7 games to unfortunately end the year at 9-7 and missing the playoffs for another consecutive year. Well, this year was so spectacular with Anthony Lynn as the head coach and the coordinators of Gus Bradley at defense coordinator and Ken Wisenhunt, their offense coordinator. It was so spectacular for those two. The Chargers decided to retain their services for another 3 years. Congratulations. They're all together. Bradley was really highly sought after by the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks organization for the defensive coordinator position, and yet he was retained by the Los Angeles Chargers. And look what his defense did this year. They had 43 sacks, tied for the 7th most in the NFL, with 2 of the most dangerous pass rushers, and Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. So that was really great to see that. And 18 interceptions, tied for 6th in the league. So that was a major improvements that Chargers need. And offensively, a career year by Keenan Allen, over 1,100 receiving yards and over 1,000 rushing yards by Melvin Gordon, another career season on the offensive side because of Ken Wisenhunt. He was with the team years ago before he decided to leave for another organization. But I got to give Ken Wisenhunt a lot of credit for what he's done with Philip Rivers again, with his offense again, and the fact that the team gave up the fewest sacks on the offensive line in the NFL, a major improvement for Philip Rivers, who's had to endure years with 30 or 40 sacks allowed by his offensive line. So congratulations to the LA Chargers on making that move. And speaking of big moves, the Carolina Panthers decided to fire Mike Shula after 6 years as their offensive coordinator and now have retained or hired Norv Turner, the former head coach of the San Diego Chargers, who in his last 3 years, unfortunately, the team missed the postseason, but bounced around several teams as an offensive coordinator. Now he's bringing his mastery to Carolina, the team that blew an opportunity and lost to the Saints 31-26. I'll get into that in a little bit. Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator in Seattle, most hated by fans if you think about Super Bowl 49, 2nd and goal at the New England 1-yard line. Instead of feeding the ball to the beast that is Marshawn Lynch, they go for an off-target passing play from Russell Wilson to Ricardo Lewis, and it gets intercepted by Malcolm Butler, making him the hero for New England, and yet another their first Super Bowl victory, and the first of their 2 Super Bowl victories they had in the last 3 years. And for the Seahawks, ended what could have been the first team to have their 2nd straight Super Bowl since New England did it. Well, this season was no bowl of cherries when they went 9-7, missing the playoffs for the first time since 2011. Seahawks organization are looking to go in a new direction, so they fired him and offensive line coach Tom Cable. And another casualty of firings took place today. Rick Dennison, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, was let go by the organization. They went 9-7. They made the playoffs for the first time since 1999. But the unfortunate thing about this offense was how bad they played this past weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I'll discuss in a little bit as well. And on top of it, they were tied for 24th in offensive points, 17.6, and were the worst second-half team in the last 7 weeks, tied for the second fewest points in the NFL in that span. So they want to go in a new direction. Good luck to them. As we heard this past week, ESPN reported a salacious story that detailed the potential infighting or trouble in paradise in New England with the trio of Bill Belichick, Bob Kraft, or Robert Kraft, the owner of the team, and quarterback Tom Brady, all stemming from the October 31st trade of Jimmy Garoppolo, who was the former backup to Brady, sent to San Francisco. In exchange, New England received a second-round draft pick. I think it was anger over the compensation that the 49ers gave to the Patriots for Garoppolo's services. It was the fact that Brady wanted this to take place, and yet Belichick didn't, and neither did Bob Kraft as well. So there was arguing amongst each other, a lot of infighting that was reported. But then in the past week, a lot of damage control, vehement denials by all three, telling people that there is no trouble whatsoever. We're all united front. There is no cause for concern in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Which, do I believe it? Do I not believe it? Remains to be seen. We'll see what they do in the postseason. That will be the telling story if things are really on the up and up and that everybody's so hunky-dory with each other and kumbaya. Or could this be the end of the road for this dynasty, or what they call in Game of Thrones, dynasty? I love that show. And Bill Belichick was even asked at a press conference, will he be around to coach the team in 2018? And he said, absolutely. That's a big proclamation. Let's see if you live up to those words. But then again, Bill Belichick, as we know, is a man of very few words when it comes to his fun press conferences. Speaking of some trouble that could be brewing in the NFL has had to deal with the issue of the national anthem this year. They've had to deal with concussions in the past few years, domestic battery assault, drug issues, weapons possession, contract issues, especially with Commissioner Goodell and the infighting with him and Jerry Jones. So they've had to deal with a myriad of issues. Now we could be adding racism to the mix. This past week, when the Chargers and the Bills had their wild card game in Jacksonville at Everbank Field, the stalwart defensive lineman Yannick Ngakoue accused offensive lineman of the Buffalo Bills, Richie Incognito, of making racial slurs during the game. And the NFL is investigating into this, but Richie Incognito's case is nothing to sneeze at. Let's not forget, this was the guy who back in 2013, when he was a member of the other AFC squad, the Miami Dolphins, along with several of his players, were taunting then offensive lineman Jonathan Martin and was suspended for 8 games, according to the NFL, for conduct detrimental to the game. Couldn't get a job at all in 2014 and finally got his life back together, got his life back together and was signed by the Bills in 2015. There is one person who did come to his defense, Deion Dawkins, a fellow offensive lineman of the Buffalo Bills, an African-American athlete, has come to Richie Incognito's defense and has said, I was with him the entire game and never heard one racial slur come out of his mouth. The NFL will investigate this carefully and see what comes out of this investigation. I hope that it's not true, and if it is, this guy should be suspended for even more games than just the 8. He needs to be taught a lesson that shenanigans like this, racial slurs and taunts, are not to be tolerated at all by any person. Whether it's hitting somebody, racially taunting, physical assault. Nothing should ever be tolerated, and the NFL is going to have to be even tougher if it is true. Let's see what they have with their investigations. I know I got to drink a lot of water sometimes. Now, let's get into the games. Starting the first wild card game this past Saturday that took place in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium when the Chiefs were visited by the Tennessee Titans. First time these two teams played each other since 2015. Now, with a lot on the line. In the first bit of this game, Kareem Hunt, the NFL league leader in rushing yards, the rookie third-round draft pick, plunges in for a 1-yard touchdown run, making it 7-0. Then a few minutes later, Travis Kelce gets hit for a 13-yard touchdown, making it 14-0 at the time. Then a field goal by Ryan Suckup, making it 14-3. And on the ensuing Kansas City drive that came up at the end of the first half, with about a minute to go, Travis Kelce gets a ball at the left on a slant route on the left side of the field, gets bull rushed to the left side of his head, knocked down, and you could tell this guy was wobbly left and right. He was dazed and confused and had to be taken off the field and unfortunately out of the game for the Chiefs. They still were able to get a touchdown with 5 seconds left to Demarcus Robinson and leave the 21-3 lead. But before the Kelce injury, he was taking the attention off of Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill with his presence on the field. Now with Travis Kelce gone, it puts the onus on both Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. And the defense is going to need to really... Sorry for that interruption, folks. Never should happen on a live show. Now, as I was saying, Demarcus Robinson got the touchdown at the end of the first half, 21-3. You think the game is over? It is not. It is far from over, especially with this Titan squad. And what do? They go on a 19-point all-out assault, beginning with one of the craziest, longest drives of the game. It was a 12-play drive. First and goal at the Kansas City 6. Out of the shotgun, Marcus Mariota gets the ball, looking to pass it to Delaney Walker, gets batted off of cornerback Darrelle Revis of the Kansas City Chiefs, bats it into the hands of Marcus Mariota, goes to the left front pylon, gets the touchdown. The first time an NFL quarterback has thrown a touchdown pass to himself in playoff history, and the second time to happen in NFL history altogether. The last person to do it, 1997, Brad Johnson, former quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, during the broadcast on that ESPN had, John Gruden, before he took the mantle of being the head coach for the Oakland Raiders, had a video delivered to him of Brad Johnson making that very play happen on his phone, live on the air. So it was really fun seeing that take place. But yeah, fun little fact right there. But it wasn't over even after that. Then Derrick Henry gets another touchdown for the Titans, a 35-yard, untouched, weaving himself through the left side of the line, gets a touchdown, making it 21-16. They go for the two-point conversion, unfortunately, which failed. They still are down by 5 points with 14:08 to go in the fourth quarter. Then the go-ahead play on a huge 10-play drive, concluding 2nd and 10 at the 22. 22-yard pass down the middle to Eric Decker. 22-21. They go for the two-point conversion. Yeah, Tennessee goes for the two-point conversion to make it a field goal game. Unfortunately, not only does the two-point conversion fail, but Marcus Mariota fumbles the ball. It's recovered by Kansas City, and it looks like it could have gone for 2 points, except Mariota was ruled that he had forward progress, which negated the fumble recovery, which could have led to 2 points for Kansas City, which would have swung the game in their favor. It would have made it 23-22 at that time. Instead, it remained 22-21 Tennessee. Kansas City Chiefs getting one last opportunity to try to get the winning score with about a minute 47